Hi everyone, Bernard here. I hope you're all very well. And then we're looking at a movie review today. Quite a big budget movie, quite a well talked about movie that's been around, or seems to have been around for quite a long time without actually watching it. We're talking about a film called Tenet, T-E-N-E-T, a palindrome, is it? Well, it's the same spelt forwards and backwards. What it means, I have no idea. I should have looked that up, really, shouldn't I? Yeah, we're going to have a look at Tenet today, a movie review. I think every Tom Cobley and all's been having a look at this one, but I'll throw in my free pennyworth with looking at what other people are saying as well. Please, if you're new to this little channel, I do little movie reviews, drama reviews, information blogs, etc. So please push that subscribe button and push the bell notification. Right, Tenet, I think it's classed as a PG-13, just be a PG here in the UK. 2 hours 13 minutes, although some people are saying 2 hours 30 minutes, but I don't think it's quite that long. I think it might be allowing for the credits, etc. Classed as a science fiction spy film. There you go. Yeah, I did see sort of James Bond element to it, with a bit of obviously with the time travel added to Mr. James Bond. You probably perhaps get a more normal film, but let's talk about that later. Written and directed by, of course, Christopher Nolan, who produced it with Emma Thomas. A co-production between the United Kingdom and the United States. Hey, we're good old allies, hands across the pond and all that. Stars John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, Elizabeth Debicki, Dimple Kapadia, Michael Caine, and Kenneth Branagh as the baddie. He's a good baddie, Kenneth Branagh. I mean, it's sort of I think with Kenneth Branagh in it, sort of had an oddish feel to it with him as a sort of villain. That's where I think the James Bond element came in a little bit. The plot follows a secret agent who must manipulate time in order to prevent World War III. That's Mr. Washington playing the secret agent. Apparently Nolan took more than 5 years to write the screenplay to this. It's no wonder he probably went backwards and forwards many times. Was that 5 years meeting himself, coming back? I'm not too sure. It's been delayed a little bit, obviously, because of the COVID-19 pandemic. I think it's three release dates it's had so far, but eventually we got there, didn't we? It's been released generally, and certainly in UK cinemas, and I think it's due to be released in American cinemas. A production budget between $200 and $225 million, and you add all the marketing to that, etc., etc., you're probably talking up to $350 million. So it is estimated, I mean, that's the minimum. It's estimated by some to need to make about $450 to $500 million in order to break even. Will it do so? Yeah, it's a possibility, I suppose, but it's a long trek, isn't it, with the situation still as it is at the moment. Contains no green screen. A bit of trivia about it. It contains no green screens. It's all done with practical effects, which is quite impressive if you watch the film. This includes what we call the inversion sequences. Each scene shot twice, one time moving forward and once with the actors doing everything backward. In addition to performing stunts backwards, the main cast actually learned how to speak in reverse for their roles. Mr. Kenneth Branagh not only had to learn how to speak backwards, but also how to do it in a Russian accent. That takes some skill, doesn't it? I suppose if you see it written down, it's probably easy to do. Any good? Rotten Tomatoes, Tenet holds an approval rating. Positivity rating, 81%, 81%. That's based on 124 reviews. That's 101 fresh, but there's 23 rotten, so that's quite a high proportion of rotten reviews. An average rating overall of 7.3 out of 10. The website's critical consensus reads, a visually dazzling puzzle for film lovers to unlock. Tenet serves up all the cerebral spectacle audiences expect from a Christopher Nolan production. Yeah, I mean, if you're a Christopher Nolan fan, I think you're going to watch this. If you're not really into Mr. Christopher Nolan stuff, then probably steer clear of this. On Metacritic, the critics score the film has a weighted average of 70 out of 100 based on 35 critics' reviews. And that's 24 positive and 11 mixed. No negative, but 24 positive and 11 mixed. And it scores anywhere between 4 out of 10, which is fantastic, and 10 out of 10. The Guardian's Catherine Shord didn't like it. She only gave it 4 out of 10 and wrote, "There's something grating about a film which insists on detailing its pseudoscience while also conceding you probably won't have followed a thing. We're clobbered with plot, then comforted with tea towel homilies about how what's happened has happened." Yeah, it's an interesting ploy used in this film. A middling score, 6 out of 10. We got the Irish Times Donald Clark. He wrote, "All this delicious incident has the makings of a gung-ho entertainment. Ian Fleming as mounted by NASA. Unfortunately, that's not what we get. Even if we were brave enough to try, we would not be capable of spoiling a plot so willfully obtuse it demands repeat viewings to disentangle." So I'll still give it 6 out of 10, so it wasn't bad, was it? And the people who like it, well, we can look at Mr. Jordan Farley from Total Film. He gave it 10 out of 10. Nothing deserves 10 out of 10. Nothing in this world deserves a 10 out of 10. Tenet is a practically perfect reintroduction to the big screen. Whether audiences are ready, where safe to return to cinemas en masse is another question entirely. Certainly Tenet's a more challenging film than some may be comfortable with after a 5-month absence, but this is an all too rare example of a master filmmaker putting everything on the table, with, you sense, not a modicum of his vision compromised. The stakes have never been higher, but Tenet is exactly the film cinemas need right now. Internet Movie Database Joe user rating, that's you and me, the public, over 34,000 reviews, almost 35,000 reviews, and it's getting an overall score of 8 out of 10. So there's a lot of positivity out there. Some of the comments worth pushing through. The best Nolan film yet. Someone also said, disappointed movie shouldn't be a homework, but something that I enjoy, and for that I would come back to it again. Need to rewatch. That'll be a theme that will probably progress through a lot of reviewers, I think, even myself. Thanks, I have a good sleep in the theatre, so someone didn't like it. Underrated near masterpiece. Truly mind-bending. There we go. So a lot to say. With an 8 out of 10 rating, you're going to get this positivity. With Inception and Interstellar, Nolan has put a bar incredibly high. Don't get me wrong, Tenet is a good movie, but it is nowhere as good as these two. Perhaps it's a little bit more confusing and harder work than those two. An utter mess. A visually amazing mess. So both those guys probably agree there. And finally, this person wrote, critics are rating it purely because it's the great Christopher Nolan, and they are scared that they'd seen as stupid if they said anything other than this is an amazing film. I am not a Nolan basher. I love literally every movie he has done and was very excited to see this. Most disappointed I've been since It Chapter 2. Yeah, It Chapter 2 wasn't fantastic. It wasn't a total letdown. So let's have a little think of this. Movie game nostalgia. My little thoughts on this one. First of all, I've only watched it once. I do normally watch films I enjoy anyway. I might invite friends or family to watch a film with me, and that's what I've done over the years. That's what I tend to do. I think I may have said this in a previous vlog. I mean, I once watched Forrest Gump and I was quite tired at the time, and I thought it was dreadful, and I watched it again awake this time and it was absolutely superb. And certainly Tenet is not a film to approach and watch tired. I mean, I have had the odd time I've been to a cinema, etc., and I have dozed off during a film, no matter what, because I was just a bit overtired. But this isn't one you can nod off to. But if you do, this is obviously a loud action scene around the corner to brashly wake you up. A lot of people commented how noisy it is, how garbled the language is, how garbled the audio is, and how noisy the action scenes are. There's been a lot of complaints about that. I didn't notice it so much myself, but I can understand that. Anyway, the point of that being awake, I was awake when I watched it, and it's definitely worth another watch. This is the thing, but probably once my mind's had a good rest, and perhaps read a couple of walkthroughs. I have read a couple of walkthroughs. I've read some of a big plot. I read the big plot of this on Wikipedia just to try and help me watch the film, to be honest with you. I mean, is this how a film should be viewed? I'm not playing a computer game where I have to learn things. Is this how a film should be viewed in the future? Probably not, but maximum points for making the audience, myself, work to get their entertainment, which I felt it was. And someone mentioned homework there before, didn't they? You do seem to have to mentally put a lot of work into this film. I do like time travel films, don't get me wrong, and things like 12 Monkeys, that sort of sprung to mind as something that I quite like, that perhaps this could have been a little bit more kinder about, a bit more basic and a bit similar to, if you can think of all 12 Monkeys simple and basic, because that had its moments. It does from time to time sort of have little explanations from the actors, which is nice. You can think that Mr. Nolan's put that in deliberately, where the actors have said what's happened. So from time to time throughout the film, if you get a little bit lost, some of the actors explain what's happened, basically. So that was probably a good idea, actually. It does help a lot, because there's a lot of backstory missing. I mean, the part of the film, which is part of this film's charm in a way, because it does ask you to think, what the hell's going on? I mean, I don't mind being confused in the film, as long as at some stage it does all come together, and more or less this sort of does, as I said, but I did have to sort of read certain things on the media as well to get the full benefit of it. The opening sequence, I mean, that won me over straight away. I did enjoy the opening sequence. I like that sort of weird, what's going on sort of aspect to it, and but it sadly wasn't always the case for the 130, 140 minutes of this. Sometimes I felt a little bit underwhelmed and confused, certainly the first half of the film. Just as it sort of started to lose me a bit, it just sort of dragged me back in again, and I started to watch it again. It's quite weird to watch. You'd have to watch it to fully explain it, but it just sort of try to lose you, but then it just does something. Oh, that's good. It drags me back in. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of car chases in films. It doesn't really appeal to me, but there's a couple in this, obviously the same one, but obviously done at different times, backwards and forwards, etc., which is the inversion thing. And I did enjoy the car chase scene in this, so there you go. And it is something I don't usually like. Throughout the film, I like to invest in the characters, and I must admit, I wasn't so worried. I wasn't really worried about World War III. I was more worried about how Kat would get on, the character Kat, played by Elizabeth Debicki. I wanted her to be safe in this, whatever happens. I did want her to be safe in the film, and so that was more important to me than perhaps World War III, which is not a bad thing. At least I cared about one of the characters. I'm not a big Washington fan, I'll say that now. I don't mind Denzel Washington, but I think he plays Denzel Washington, so I'm not a big fan of this young Washington particularly, but he does a good enough job for a lead, if not fantastic, but he does okay. I mean, let's face it, it's not the easiest film to be a lead in, is it? Let's say that. Overall, as a movie develops, it does make you want to go back and watch again at some stage. And thinking on this morning, when I've been sort of back at work this morning, and it's sort of coming to my mind, and I've been thinking, yeah, I wouldn't mind, because I watched it yesterday. I wouldn't mind. I might watch it again at some stage, but once my mind sort of got had a bit of a rest, because that's all I need to do. And as I say, without the read-throughs, I will still be a little bit more confused perhaps than I am this morning. But that was cheating a little bit. It's like a game, it's like a computer game, and you get to a stage where you can't understand it, and you just ask for a hint, or you get the actual walkthrough. And as you say, that sort of feel about it, this film. So I can understand, the 23 rotten reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. I can understand that it's not, it's 8 out of 10, and a lot of people are giving it 2 and 3 out of 10 and saying it's absolute rubbish. I can understand that aspect of it, but as a film, it's one of those films you probably, people are into it. I mean, if you're not into the science fiction sort of thriller thing, then no, you probably won't like it. But let's face it, you're going to watch this because we've heard so much about it. It's been so long in the pipeline. And I also my score a little bit, my movie game nostalgia score for this film. I've ended up on 6.5 out of 10, which is obviously better than watchable. But I'm not going to go mad. I'm not going to be like some of the critics and say, what a fantastic film, because I think it could have been better. I know it sounds daft. I think as a time travel thing, it could have been a bit more explainable, but it was superb. It is superb, some of the stuff they did, especially when you think there's no CGI green screen stuff. That is, it's still sort of entertaining. Yeah, it is entertaining, but you do have to work hard for it, unfortunately. And as I said, I probably will watch it again at some stage, but there's no one I know I could recommend this to, because no one I know would like this type of film. So I'd have to watch it on my own at the moment, because no one else would watch it. Yeah, so I'm going to give it 6.5 out of 10, and with the proviso that you've got to like Mr. Nolan, you've got to like this sort of film, and you have to be awake to watch it. Very importantly, don't be tired when you watch it. The poster. Yeah, I mean, the poster could have got overcomplicated, couldn't it? And I think the poster's quite clever, because it is simple, but it's sort of showing the film. It is showing the idea and the method of the film itself. But I'm not going to go mad, because it's still quite plain and boring. And especially if you like Washington, probably better to say I'm not his biggest fan. So yeah, I'm going to give the poster a standard 6 out of 10. So I'm going to rate the film better than the poster with this one. So there you go. Anyway, thanks for letting me know anyway if you watch this and you stay awake, and let me know what you think. As I say, a lot of people had a lot of trouble with the audio, and a lot of trouble, they couldn't make out what was being said. It wasn't too bad, but as I say, it does ask a lot of you to concentrate for the 2 hours 15 minutes or whatever it is. You do have to concentrate, and sometimes don't get too worried if something's confusing, because it will probably explain itself at some stage in the film, and if not, as I said, go back and read some spoilers or read something about it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please check my links on screen. And if you get onto my little movie website, moviegamenostalgia.com, absolutely fantastic old rare DVDs, movie posters from the 90s and 2000s, and board games on there as well. So until you join me again for another little movie review or a TV drama review, or just an information vlog, please stay safe, everyone. Take care of yourself, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and more importantly, let's all take care of each other. And I'll see you all again very soon. Thanks for watching.